Good evening, anybody who's watching. I thought I haven't done anything for a while. I've just had a count up of the stuff that I need to take pictures of, and it currently stands at 47 new aircraft, plus whatever code 3s I've done. So one of the ones that's just recently come in, alongside the ME410, which obviously I've just pictured. I will do a video of that relatively shortly. I thought I'd unbox this live. So obviously a much anticipated release. Probably a year too late, I would say, after obviously the relative success of Masters of the Air. And of course, the rather famed Robert Rosie Rosenthal of the 418th Bomb Squadron, and of course mission in Regensburg, I think it was, in October 1943. And it's been a bit of a controversial release because there's a number of things that are potentially wrong with it. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'm not a historian, but some of the things that come into play were the serial number. So because it's an earlier block F model, there's some debate whether the 4 should be on there or not. So that's a 6-digit number. The 5 serial should be 2603. Is that 87 or yeah? I think it's 87. Rather than with the 2 cut off. There's also some issues around the type of front of the aircraft. It should have a bulged gun on the side there. But let's get into it. Let's open it up. And I've had a quick check inside the box, but I haven't actually taken it out yet. So this is as new to you as it is to me. So let's get cracking. So part of obviously the war in Europe, 1939 to 1945 range. I don't know if you know. Room is at a premium here in my mum and dad's house, unfortunately. If you can see that. Quite a pretty bit of artwork on there. And of course it represents the aircraft Royal Flush. So let's open her up. So as always, get your collector card. And this one, I was hoping it was going to be 100. Unfortunately, it was 22 out, so it would have been nice. So, very interesting point though. Only a run of 840, which is decreasing bit by bit. I personally think this will be a surefire winner in terms of keeping. I think it will appreciate in value because it's such a rare. It's going to be a relatively rare model. But just a quick, brief overview. So obviously, the 100th Bomb Group had already suffered massive losses since arriving in May of 1943. Of course, if anybody's watched Master of the Air will get that. So a little bit about the aircraft. This aircraft was the only aircraft that returned from a group of aircraft bombing Regensburg in October 1943. And if you've seen them, obviously I don't want to spoil the TV series, obviously it's featured quite heavily in the TV series. Before it became Rosie's Riveters later in the war, and obviously Rosenthal eventually got shot down. Again, won't ruin it too much for you. So this shows a number of scenes around it, sort of trying to do the corkscrew and get rid of the enemy fighters on its own. It must have been quite a horrifying thing for the men of this aircraft to look out and see none of their squadron behind them anymore. So anyhow, look. Brief overview of the card there. So this is number 122 of 840. As with all Corgi, you get your polystyrene sort of box inside. I'll move this right out of the way. Let me just tip this up. So as you can see, the aircraft comes boxed with its undercarriage up and the undercarriage down in a separate bag. I always find the undercarriage up being stuck in slightly daunting on some aircraft because they're a real pain in the ass to get out. With the bigger ones, not so much. I'm just looking at this one, actually one of them's fallen out. And of course the rather heavy duty stand. So let's get her out and put her into flight mode. So let's give you a quick overview. Of course the Corgi B17, the joint of that nose seems to be getting a little worse as she gets older. But the detailing is really good. One thing that isn't good, I'm sure if you can see when it's in here, if you look at the colour of the guns are actually unpainted or they're painted silver. They should 100% be black. I have no idea why they're not. Seems a bit of a balls up really. Underneath, obviously, you've got your ball turret, got your movable flaps as well, and of course your bomb bay, which does open. Bit of a stiff, cool, a bit stiff this one. Does come open though, so probably the first time it's been open. And of course the bomb load in there as well. And in this case, both of the undercarriage are falling out, but as you can see, they slot into there. So what I'll do is they're out, I'll quickly get this onto the stand, put it there, and we'll do a little feature of what it looks like up close. I mean, first impressions, paint scheme's lovely, finish is lovely, the colours look really good. I think, you know, the guns is very much on par with the Corgi Typhoon cockpit incident. So there we go. I don't know if you can see that, guys. Move it close into the light. The colour looks a bit more appley green on camera because I've got a backing light, but believe you me, the olive drab looks really, really good. And of course you've got different tones as well on the lap parts of the wings and on the ailerons at the back there as well, and rudder. Neither of those move, it's only the flaps underneath that actually move. Obviously the propellers spin, as do the turrets as well. So ball and top turret both spin. Actually the join isn't too bad on mine, but as you can see, that area there is the area of discussion. That should be the ridged gun, and I think frustratingly, when it was for the pre-pro first come out, it was that, and then somebody changed it back. So for anybody who wants to do a little bit of research, just research B17F Royal Flush, and it brings up a whole host of things. Apparently there was another Royal Flush that flew with another squadron as well, so potentially they could have been mixed up. But in Corgi's defence, and I stress this is in Corgi's defence, they did work closely with the 100th bomb group to try and make it as accurate as possible. So I hope something hasn't been lost along the line. I mean, the 100th bomb group haven't commented at all, which is a shame. It'd be interesting to see what they really think of it, but I'm really happy with it. I think it looks really good, and it's an aircraft from a a really famed squadron. I just wish they'd preempted this and done this when Master of the Air come out at the same time. That would have been a really sensible decision. But as we know, things take time to get done. Again, I'm not going to defend Corgi. I mean, I'm not on their payroll or anything like that. So and being like that makes it for me easier to actually be very neutral when things are good. I think we should always praise when things are good. When things aren't good, then I think we should also have the right to talk about that as well. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I may be interested to see if anybody's put any comments in. I've got my camera on the stand, so I can't actually read any of the comments, so apologies for that. But I'm happy with it. I think it looks nice. My example's nice and clean. Everything's running smoothly. The propellers spin nicely. There's no damage. There's no chips. There was a little bit of white polystyrene on there a minute ago, if anybody noticed, but that has been removed. But yeah, it looks really good to me. I mean, I've not had a chance to catch up watching Master of the Air yet to see maybe what the aircraft on that featured, especially around the tail. So just to go back for those who've missed it, there's some debate whether the 4 would be included on the serial number on the tail. So the early block B17Fs, when they first entered service, only had 5 serials. Although there were 6 serial long in terms of the actual aircraft, they only featured the 5 serials. So they were arguably bigger numbers, spaced out differently. But Corgi have elected to go with the 6 serial version, which if you look on Google, you get both. So it is a difficult one to clarify for certain. But like I said before, the 100th Bomb Group have done research with Corgi in order to make this work. Be interested to see whether they're going to go and do a later Mark G in the sort of aluminium silver as well. I think that'd be a lovely partner. I would love to see something like Rosie's Riveters, maybe the aircraft that met its end at some point during the war. I think that would be interesting to see as well, and I think it would make a lovely pairing for this. Although, you're talking you poor Americans have to pay about 300 notes now to get this imported into America due to Mr. Trump's new tariffs, whether you agree with them or not, which isn't ideal for the hobby, because it's pricing lots of people out who really want it. But again, I think that's been reflected on the amounts being produced by Corgi. 840 isn't a massive amount of produced anymore compared to what they were doing in their heyday. They were limitless at some point. So let's have a look and see what she looks like on her undercarriage. So as always, undercarriage comes in a sealed bag, and I always, with my fingers, have a nightmare trying to unpin them. And that time, so in this case, you've got two down undercarriage, and of course a down tail wheel as well. I don't know if you see that. So if we open her up, the undercarriage is up already because it fell out. If you look at the tail wheel there, it's just a little clip on to help you get it out. And this is where I don't like it, because it's really, really stiff to try and get out. And you could end up snapping it. I don't really want to do that. And in true Mark Stringer fashion, guess what's happened? The pin broke trying to get it out. So that is a real pain in the arse. So I've now got a broken up tail wheel. I mean, it's not going to affect it too much, but there's my point. Corgi, don't put wheels in the actual aircraft, because that was sealed in there. I mean, it's not too much of an issue because I can pull that out with a pair of tweezers, which I'll go and grab now quickly. But I don't know if I'll move that back for you so you can see. And I'll tilt the camera slightly. There she is on her wheels. Bear with. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I've been going on about for years and years and years. Don't leave them. I understand when they're painted, they need to go in there, but that's just horrendous. I'll try and get these and that, it does not want to come out either. Jesus Christ. Nice one, Corgi. Well, the tail wheel's not going to go in for now. I'll have to sort that out off video, but there is my point. And that was direct, that was lifted straight out and it just snapped. So yeah, so that's not great. But sorry, just for anybody who didn't see, the underneath literally spins as well. But yeah, overall, look, a decent model. I mean, that's really annoyed me, in all honesty. It's not too much of a biggie, because if I want it in flight mode, it will slot back in. Because it's so bloody tight, it will pop back in. It's just annoying from my point of view, because that's exactly what's happened. It's just snapped off the spindle. That's pretty bent. But I guess the reason is when they paint it, they must paint it actually in the aircraft rather than separately, or they put it in before it's dry. I honestly don't know, but that's pretty poor, in all honesty. So yeah, anyhow, look, just a very, very quick video. I am gonna, as requested, knock up a video on the ME410, which has been heavily requested and really well received. This, again, there's a number of issues with it. Well, a couple of issues in my eyes that I think could be better. But that's just, again, it's just an opinion. It's not something I think detracts from the model. I think the model's great and they've executed really well. Now, it's a good 7.5 out of 10 model, but there's always improvements to be had, especially with the prices now that every manufacturer, not just Corgi, are charging. So anyhow, look, thanks for tuning in. Hope you all have a good weekend and don't get too battered by this oncoming storm that's heading our way. And hopefully I'll see you soon if I can get my act together and get a few videos on. Take care.